Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lizard Brains podcast. I'm your host, DJ Alessandrini. I'm joined by my co-host, Tom O'Gorman. Tom, how's it going?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing great. I bet every hotel room next to me right now thinks that something crazy is going on because we are coming live. Well, I'm coming live from Las Vegas. I am on the edge of Las Vegas on the west side because that's where all the good hiking trails are. But yeah. Well, there's
What
actually.
hotel? You look like you're in a big hotel room.
Oh, so I accidentally booked a hotel room where they're trying to sell us on a timeshare. So what I'm actually in right now is a timeshare. We have 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a full kitchen, like a living room. It was only like $105 a night or whatever.
Damn, you got that all week.
Yeah. Well, we stay at a Motel 6 that's near Las Vegas Motor Speedway during the weekend because it's only like 5 minutes from the autocross site. And then we stayed somewhere on Monday or Sunday into Monday because me and Christine, I used a vacation day. Me and Christine went hiking in the Valley of Fire on Monday, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But this is like the long stay hotel, you know, the Monday night to Friday morning hotel. And we were originally planning on staying on the Strip, but something's happening on the Strip where all those hotel rooms were like 5 times what they normally would be. I think it's like maybe spring break or March Madness or something. But normally the hotel rooms on the Strip are relatively cheap. Taylor says dog show. That might actually be it. I'm not entirely sure. But we were planning on staying on the Strip because it was super cheap, and it was not super cheap. So I was like, okay, let's find the next best thing. And I honestly think this is better because getting in and out of the Strip is kind of a pain. And this,
it is.
Yeah. And the west side of Las Vegas is apparently like hoity-toity. And this is like a resort that we're staying in where they're trying to, like every chance they get, they're like timeshare. And we just like run away and go, no, thank you. But
new Lizard Brains podcast top travel tip: look for timeshares that you can rip
yeah,
off.
well, I didn't do that on purpose. I don't know how you would do that on purpose, but yeah, it's a really, really nice room. We went grocery shopping, so it's been great. My only gripe is I am working remote, and the only surface I can work on is the kitchen table, and it's a glass table, so I had to completely disassemble a Trader Joe's paper bag to turn into a mouse pad because optical mouse won't work on a glass table. So that's my only gripe.
Problems. That's not that bad.
Yeah, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I remember when I used to go to Vegas like 4 or 5 times a year for work, working those marketing events. We would work at either the convention center or the Speedway, or there were a couple times it was like Mecum Auctions was at a certain casino or whatever. So we get rental cars and we have to drive ourselves to wherever. And it was always like most events, if you got off at 5, you'd be back to the hotel at 5:30, no problem. It would be like an hours long affair between parking and walking back to your room and navigating the casinos you stay in, or what do they call them? Resorts?
Something like that.
What's the word?
It's just a hotel with like a casino that smells like cigarette smoke. Guys, yeah. I know some of our listeners.
There's always a lot.
I know some of our listeners might be gamblers, but like to me, gambling is the most anti-lizard thing possible because there is nothing you can do to get better at it. You just like whether you win or lose, there's no takeaway. There's no like, oh, what could I have done better there? Like you put it on red and black shows up. It's not like now I put it on black. It's like it's 100% anti-lizard. So yeah, me and Christine have no interest in doing any gambling. But honestly, after the hikes that we did yesterday, we're recording on a Tuesday. After the hikes we did yesterday, I'm thinking that the least interesting thing about Las Vegas is the Strip, and everything literally outside of the city is the most interesting stuff because the wilderness out here is crazy, Tom. Tom, we would drive every 10 minutes, look like we were in a completely different place. Like the texture and the colors, everything around us was looking completely different. It was absolutely incredible. We went to the Hoover Dam yesterday. That's pretty incredible. Have you ever been to Hoover Dam, Tom?
No, I never have. I've never actually left Vegas from Vegas.
Yeah,
So I
I'm
guess I'm
telling
doing
you.
it wrong.
Yeah, well, apparently I've been doing it wrong this whole time too. And Christine's been doing it right the whole time because either I was here for SEMA or I was here for the autocross event. I never really saw anything else. And outside of Vegas is apparently the coolest part about Vegas.
Yeah. It's been a minute since we talked about it, but that video that we love from Veritasium about the 4 things you need to become an expert,
Yeah.
they literally use gambling as an like the first example of something that cannot be mastered.
Yes.
Because you need to have from their video listed, a valid environment with predictable patterns, which is why gambling, obviously, you can't expert or master that. Yeah, numerous repetitions, timely feedback to learn from mistakes, and deliberate practice. Those are their 4. So they're like, yeah, people who are either saying they're masters at the stock market or gambling or, elections was actually one of them. Like basically things with unpredictable patterns.
Yep.
Everybody who claims to be an expert in those things is lying.
Yes. Yeah. So keep that in mind when you have somebody on the news like claiming that like this thing is going to happen, and it's just like they're just better at sounding like they know what they're talking about than the people who don't show up on the show or whatever.
Yeah.
So
or that thing's happened in history, but it doesn't mean it is happening.
Yes.
Anyway, how was the autocross? I didn't see a ton of updates, so I'm guessing it was either extra fun or maybe not extra fun.
I was just kind of focused on driving. My seating position had to be super weird, Tom, because all right, normally when you hear a fixed seat, what do you expect when you show up?
I'm going to be too far away.
Well, but like
I assume I'm gonna be too far away. I'm gonna need pads behind me to move myself closer.
Correct.
To where I want to be.
So I packed a checked bag to bring the appropriate amount of pads to basically sit in any seat, right? What I did not expect was the OEM seat removed from the seat rails and then bolted to the ground.
Oh, that's an interesting choice.
So,
okay.
Well, no, it's honestly genius for Ed, the guy I was driving with, because he gets the seat that doesn't wobble around. Like the seat's really sturdy. Like it doesn't move at all. It actually makes a lot of sense for Ed. But what sucks for me is normally it's a race seat and you can put the pads in there and you still have some bolstering because the bolstering in a race seat is super large. Well, when it's the OEM seat and I got to throw a ton of pads at it, I don't have any bolstering. So it was like I was driving a C5 Corvette over here, Tom. I had no bolstering. Yeah. I did figure out like if I put just a copious amount of pads in the car, so basically I lean the seat all the way forward. It's completely vertical all the way forward. And then I put every pad I brought like behind me, like on the lower back. If I put enough pads in there, it would fill in the space. It would fill in the space around me. So it was kind of like I had bolstering because I was just surrounded by so many pads. And by the time I put the seatbelt on, and Ed had a really nice that I bought for me and Peter, a chest belt. It's just a single belt that you wrap around the back of the seat and then you just like cinch yourself to the car. Between those two things, I was able to feel somewhat secure driving the car, but I had so many pads behind me that like only half of my butt was like on the bottom of the seat. Cause that's how much seat I needed to take up to be able to reach the pedals reliably. Yeah. So it was a little bit of a compromised seating position. I don't think that's why I lost. Because I ended up getting third. I lost to Daniel McKelvey and Garrett Colburn. I might be messing up his last name. Daniel
got to look.
Daniel just showed up in a newly built GR86. He has one local event on it, and Garrett has an S2000. And yeah, those guys drove great. I had. Later in the event, I was starting to really get a feel for the car and getting used to my seating position, all that stuff. So, Taylor says no local events on it. I thought Daniel told me that he had one event local, but it was in the snow. Anyways, so yeah, Daniel drove great, and so did Garrett. I had nothing for them. They put down some seriously like amazing runs. So Taylor says it got snowed out, so nobody could run. So, okay, that makes sense. So they showed up to an event to hopefully get some testing in, but then they didn't. Um, but yeah, I think my first run, which was on the right side of the course, might be the best first run after not autocrossing for a couple months I think I've ever done. And that made me excited. I was like, oh my, because I felt my vision felt good. My bandwidth felt good. Like my attack, like right out of the gate, all that stuff felt good. I was like, oh my God, it's like I'm hardly even rusty. But what the thing that got rusty was me walking and analyzing the course, because it's not something I ever thought about in the last, I don't know, the last time I autocross was November, so 4 months, which I realize isn't that long of an off season compared to most people. But when you don't do a thing for 4 months and you come back to it, like I found myself walking the course and having questions more than answers. Does that make sense?
Oh, interesting. Like you couldn't figure out how to read it?
It
You're
was,
like, oh, wait, what am I looking for again?
it was
Is
like,
that what you're thinking about?
I think, okay, to pinpoint probably what it was I I felt like toward the end of last year I knew where the car was going to end up and like what my speeds essentially were going to be. So like where the natural radiuses of different corners were kind of have the car ending up. And when I was walking this course, I was walking through offsets and I was like, I don't know what my angles here should be because I don't exactly know where the car's going to be. And I had this like unsureness that I don't remember having at the end of last year. And like, to me, that's where I got rusty. Like, for instance, like finding tom time, where I find downtime to like really throw my eyes through the course. I felt like I was having a hard time figuring out where that would be accurately because I wasn't sure like what my speed would be in certain sections. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's an interest. I mean, I guess I've never struggled that way before.
Must be nice.
But maybe do you? Well, no. So what I'm hearing you describe is you're so maybe used to the car you were driving almost that you could plan ahead for exactly what that felt like.
No, because
And
most
now
cars.
this is a different car.
No, most cars. Yeah, no, most cars end up at like this, like similar speeds. Like it's very like a couple mile per hour difference. Like unless it's like, you know, like wildly different, like super high
like
horsepower
or something.
Yeah, like something like with over 400 horsepower. But it's not like a D Street car is going to be different than a CST car, and in like the general, 95 percentile of speed that it ends up at certain things, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So like to me, that's like where I was feeling like I was a little rusty. Also, then I was like last year, I would walk the course, stop walking at some point, run the course through my head, be like, cool, I understand that, and then like keep walking. And then this year, I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing that I did, and so I stopped walking like I don't know, a third through, and I tried to like recount the course in my head, and I'm like, nope, I didn't remember any of that, and I would like turn around and look at it and be like, oh yeah. Like, I don't know. I just wasn't retaining the information like I felt like I normally do. So to me, that felt like some off-season rust from just not walking courses. And the thing is like most of the people at this event, besides like the Southwestern local people, like it was also like their first event of the year too. And I believe this is Daniel's first event since, November or whatever last year too. So like that's not the reason I lost. Those were just some difficulties that I had just coming off the off season that, maybe in the future at some point I can have a better note of like my tendency coming in and like what I seem to remember lacking, and see if there's a way I can try to overcompensate for that to like come swinging right out of the gate.
You obviously lost because the car wasn't prepared as well, and you couldn't fit in the seat nearly as much, and your bump stops weren't shaped.
No, they literally, they literally just did better runs than me.
Yeah.
Because
I honestly, if you had to lose to somebody, I'm glad one of them was a 94 S2000, car number 94.
Yeah, oh, that is true. Dang it. Oh man,
that's my guy. I don't even know the guy, but that's my guy.
Dude, that car had some serious Tomo energy. So, I did make it into the challenge barely. I was rooting for Brian Kelly. He drives a CSX car. I don't even know if Brian Kelly listens to the podcast.
A Mustang? Okay, why?
No, CSX, the
Oh,
Miatas.
Miata.
Yeah. But they were an S3. And so Brian Kelly was winning. And then two cars were kind of close to him. They were like within a half second. So if Brian Kelly won by more than that, then that would knock those two cars out of the challenge. And then I would be in the challenge. So most people are also this weekend's weather was absolutely brutal. Guys, it's a desert. And last year it was 65 degrees. This year it is like so desert. Like it's like 100 degrees and the sun feels like it's melting you. So here I am standing around in the sun, rooting for Brian Kelly. He has no idea who I am. There's no way he knows who I am unless he listens to the podcast. And I'm just like Brian Kelly's biggest fan. And he went out there and he smoked everyone and knocked those two drivers out. So I was the last driver that qualified for the challenge. Apparently they're doing skips again. So I didn't need to root against these people. So sorry. One of them was a podcast listener. I'm blanking on the name right now just because I'm holding a microphone. But as I was walking away, and I think he ended up finishing second. He was telling me that he listens to the podcast, and I had to inform him that I was rooting against him. Just out of good conscience. I had to let him know that I needed him to lose by more so I would get in the challenge. But it turns out he would have been in the challenge anyways because they were counting the skips again. But anyways, I barely made it in the challenge. And then I barely made it past the first qualifying round. I was literally like last qualifying person to go through K1 or K2. I forget which group I was in. And then I was very, very last place in K3 to barely make it to the brackets. So I I barely squeaked by every single time. And I felt like those runs that I was doing by the time I got to the challenge were super, super good autocross runs. I did find out that the car, we were running smaller tires than I think most people. Taylor will have to tell me, were you guys running 255s or 245s? But the rev limiter wasn't as high as some other CST cars. So I was hitting limiter a little bit before I normally would be in like a different car. And there on the left side course, there was I was pretty buried in the limiter for a pretty good amount, but it was like right on the edge where it didn't make sense to shift to third. The shift to third would have definitely cost time. It would have added so much like complexity to it. Taylor says they were on 245s. So we'll be on 255s next weekend. And the limiter is going to be bumped up to like what most CST cars are at. So if there is a section where we're on the limiter, then at least we'll be on par, if not better, because of the 255s, than the other GR86s. But the S2000s go like a couple mile per hour faster in second gear. So Garrett smoked us on the left side course. I don't know if it was just the spot that we were on the limiter, but he got a time where I was like, I don't even know where that would be. Like the times
I just looked
you pulled him up.
Had like a second, almost like a quarter second. No, 3/4 of a second on y'all on that one side alone.
Yeah, on the left side.
Which, if you're not familiar, it's basically supposed to be your mirrored image, but this lot is wonky, right? So they weren't identical.
Yes, I liked it. It was the left one was like real fast and sendy, and the right one was very car placement heavy. And I thought they both, honestly, I love the courses. Like last year, they were a little too much of we were going like 80 something in an Elantra. And then this year, like it was more autocross speeds, but like the execution of them was real tough. And obviously the two drivers in front of me did a better job executing that. But I did a run where I felt like that run was better than my run at Nationals. And I came back expecting, this was during the challenge, expecting to have to finally beat Daniel McKelvey in one of my runs, because it seems like every time we went out, I would like go faster, but then he would also go faster. And I'm like, dang it. Okay. Yeah, I did make a little bit of a mistake there. Like maybe I could have cleaned that up a little bit. And then I finally made a run where I was like, that's it. I finally got him. Like I finally got him in the challenge or whatever. And he still got me by like a 10th. And I'm like, what the hell? So, and like I was saying, that was one of like that was one of the best runs I had for the entire event, if not like even counting like nationals last year. Like I felt like that run was better than nationals, just the way like I strung everything together. And Daniel still freaking got me. So like the real deal, Daniel McKelvey. I can't wait to keep
Curse you, Dan
fighting him this year.
McKelvey.
Yeah, Nemesis.
That's cool.
But
Is it Taylor's car or is it his? Taylor, is that your car?
no, it's Daniel's. Taylor was just driving it.
It's his car.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So and Daniel McKelvey, like during the challenge, had Taylor drive it, even though it was completely against Daniel's interests because it was so hot and the tires would come in, and he still ended up getting third throughout the entire challenge while being like a good co-driver, good car owner, and letting Taylor compete in the spot that he earned to be in. So, like, just hats off, like Daniel did. Do you guys hear my dryer buzzer? Nope, that's not coming in the mic. Yeah, he did great. He deserved the win. I'm looking forward to competing against him and the other people in CST for the rest of the year because I had so much fun competing. I know I didn't win, but I still had a lot of fun competing and trying to put the runs together. I had fun working with Ed, who's the car owner of the car I was driving. And yeah, the West Coast group is great. And there was like 23 cars in Super Street. The Porsche crowd on the West Coast is like a different animal. Like you guys are all crazy.
Yeah.
The grid was like $8 million worth of Porsches.
Yeah. You know, when I was starting autocross, Porsches weren't really a thing. There wasn't like it was like kind of pre-Cayman and Boxster even really starting to be kind of good. And they just weren't a thing. Like I think Porsches being a thing at autocross is like being the cars to have, first of all, being classed in a way that they're the cars to have, people actually buying them for autocross. Yeah, that's kind of a new thing. That's like a last 5 to 6 years thing, I think.
I wonder if the people that can afford
maybe 10.
I wonder if the people that can afford a GT4 RS maybe would have normally went road racing, but since road racing's in a little bit of rough shape, autocross just seems like the more appealing option. So that people with the resources to buy these expensive cars are just finding autocross just more entertaining.
I don't know. I'm that's an interesting motorsport sociology question, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Because I'm trying to, like, literally the only Porsches around that I can think of back when I was starting, there was a Porsche 993, like the last air-cooled one, I think,
Yeah.
right? That was really fast in one stock class, and it was the Kozlaks, and they're like autocross royalty, but honestly, it wasn't even that fast of a car. I think it's just the car they had. And then there was a Porsche 968 that was really fast in another class, and this guy named Trevor, it was really weird that it was just a weird car in that class. There was no Porsche class. I wonder. Yeah, that's interesting.
I think also, and Kelsey brought it up in the chat, that the GT Porsches, like the GT4s and the GT3s, they're in a weird spot currently in just the used car market where they're not depreciating like normally supercars do. So, you know, maybe people with this amount of resources were always autocrossing, but the depreciation hit was the thing that would be like, ooh, no, never mind. I'll just go race like a BMW instead or something, right?
Yeah.
But because you park the money, you know, $250,000 in a GT4 RS, you autocross it for 4 or 5 years, and then you sell it for $250,000. Maybe it changes the calculations where actually autocrossing a Halo supercar actually makes sense, right? Like you still have to pay insurance and the taxes on it, and if there is any interest on the loan, you're still paying that, right? So those costs are associated, but it's not like they spend the $250,000 and then it's lit on fire and they never see it again.
Yeah, like road racing could be,
which very much happens.
No, I think
in road
it's
racing.
also autocross is also the only like classing system that has to take into account like segments of cars, I think, and like what's the current car to have. Like they don't even allow cars older than 20 years in the street class. I think by like national rules, you can't have a car that old unless it's classified, which very few are. And for some reason, I think the scope creep makes it sound negative, but the creep of autocross classes into the pace that they are. Like if you're going to have a C7 Corvette as like the baseline target, it's still pretty realistic to put a Porsche that costs twice or three times what it is in that class, because you're not going to completely ruin it for the Corvette person either. So I think they started to get a little bit more comfortable with that mentality maybe in the last decade. So then it's just crept into like, well, yeah, okay, just throw the GT4 RS in there too. And now it's because people are buying them, they're getting huge classes out of them, and I don't think they would have thought that up front. But if it crept into that scenario, then sure, why not?
Taylor's been joking in the chat that it's spec GT4 RS, and it absolutely is. I think more than half the cars in Super Street in this one national event, this isn't even nationals, were GT4 RSs. And there was like they had different liveries on them, and that like people are getting real like, you know, they're autocrossing them, like they're like not just like driving around cones autocrossing them. They're doing like the autocrossification of these GT4 RSs, where they look like autocross cars, but they just happen to be a GT4 RS.
Huh.
So
they're pretty good autocross cars. GT4 spec like base ones. I know you've driven those too.
Yeah.
I had one other question about the weekend. So you weren't doing like 80 miles an hour this time?
No. 60. Before the limiter came back down, I hit 60.0 once. But when the limiter set in, I was doing 58. Yeah, that's how fast I was going.
That's how fast you go.
That's how fast you go in
an
autocross,
in mind for
everyone.
the people at the gas stations and all.
Yeah, if you're from the gas station and you're listening to this, that's how fast it goes. You see that GT4 RS? I'm thinking maybe 70. They probably went 70. That's how fast it goes.
I did not have nearly a motorsportsy weekend, but I did have a couple things. First of all,
you sim raced a lot this weekend.
I did. I sim raced quite a bit.
Yeah.
I also had a really nice weekend hanging out with my mom, because my dad was working he and my mom both work at a teen driving school now in their like retirement job called Brakes. There's a bunch of our autocross friends who work them as well. So hi if you work Brakes. But he was working in Arizona, where he said it was also miserably hot and horrible.
Oh yeah, I bet.
This time of year already. And my mom and I, we hung out with my brother for a little bit, hung out with my niece, obviously. Saw Project Hail Mary, the new movie.
Ooh, I'm seeing it tomorrow.
I was supposed to read the book for. All of the ASM people read the book and loved it. My mom read the book and loved it, and I just never actually picked up the book, but the movie's good.
That's good.
And she said it's actually a pretty good movie adaptation of a book.
Ooh,
and
my expectations are so high for the movie, so hopefully they don't get.
The book was good. You read it?
Oh yeah, me and Christine love the book. It's a really good audiobook too, because the acting and the narrating and just the way like it's portrayed in audiobook format is just really entertaining. It's probably one of the more entertaining pieces of media that I've experienced in probably like, I don't know, the last decade. Like it was just really, really enjoyable.
That's what everyone has said about the book. The other cool part is it's 2.5 hours long, and I think it's paced really well. There's never like when is this going to end or whatever. Like they paced the whole thing.
Yeah,
but my dad had a bone to pick with you on the sim racing topic, because I wanted to go out of my way last week to race the Washington, D.C. Region Racing League, which you have absolutely dominated every time you're there. And since you weren't there, I was like, it's available for the pickings. Everyone else has a chance this week. So I'm going to, and as I said that to my parents, my dad's like, you mean he didn't bring his folding chair rig with him all the way to Las Vegas so we could set it up and race with everybody on the West Coast? So why didn't you bring your folding chair lawn chair rig?
What do you know how ridiculous that would be to check it in at an airport? Also, I'm not wasting my time on a folding chair rig. Like, come on. I'm not gonna tarnish my record at the WDCR SCCA iRacing League. But I did watch the race, Tom, and I am proud that another Lizard Brains victory in the Porsche Cup class has happened. Thank you. Also, I don't know if you realize this or not, but that really helps me out in the points for the season, because I'm missing more races than drop races. So I need to win even with the drops by 25 points, missing around essentially. So you taking the victory away from Jack Chrissy, it's really helping me out here, Tom. So thank you. I appreciate it. I don't know how the math works out, but I'm assuming all the points matter. So thank you, Tom. Nicely done.
Did it help the week prior when I kind of sort of just wrecked him?
When you murdering Jack Chrissy was icing on the tape, Tom. On the cake. I don't know why I said tape.
Sorry, Jack. You got
I,
autocross numbers on the brain.
let me just be clear. I'm not rooting for Tom to murder Jack Chrissy, but if it happens, I'm not going to
You
protest it.
benefit from it.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
I don't know. I'll tell people what happened. We were in the faster class coming through the slower class cars, and he engaged a side by side move that was like pretty inch perfect, and he clunked off my door just a little bit. So it was like, all right, we engaged. Okay, we're racing. And I saw this slower car on the right where he was to me, and I just like picked him into that car, and I gave him no option but to either slow down or wreck into that car, and he wrecked into that car. Just- and in the moment I was like, well, he took it side by side and he kind of hit me, so I'm gonna squeeze him over to this car and I'm gonna make him have to slow down and get behind me. But in hindsight, I was thinking about it, I was like, he earned right to racing room. If I put my steward's cap on, he earned right to racing room, and yeah, we touched a little bit, but like that engagement was fine. And then I just basically didn't leave him racing room
well, I feel like
by
when it's
picking him into that other car.
when it's a slower class car, to me that does live in a little bit of a gray area because how do you like? I mean, there was space for you to move to the left, so you and Jack could have both passed this car.
Correct.
And you didn't move to the left, so you had enough space for you to pass the car, but you didn't leave him space to pass the car. I don't know if that's necessarily required of you. I think it's a dick move, let's be honest, that you did not leave him room. But if you put the steward hat on, I don't necessarily. Also, it's dangerous for you because they might just turn into you thinking that like you're. There's no way you're actually just gonna like run them into this car, which that did happen. He did turn into you, but he kind of clunked off of you and then ran into the car that you were using as a pick. Nothing happened to you, but that could have just been the end of your race, right?
Thomas Lathrop. Sorry, Thomas Lathrop. Too.
Yes. so many lizard brains just got murdered by Tom's lizard brain. So
Oops.
I think it is a little bit of a gray area because I don't know if you necessarily have to leave that room. I generally do because I don't want to get murdered by them running into me trying to get around that car because you do put them in a sticky situation, right? Because they have to identify what you're doing, which is generally kind of rare. It's pretty rare that somebody's going to like make you hit the brakes so you don't run into the out of class car.
Yeah.
They have to realize what you're doing and then act appropriately to it, and you won't end up being caught up in it, right? Like that. I think that's a pretty difficult thing to like come to the realization, make the appropriate move, and then like keep racing after that. So I'm not sure. I think if a steward looked at it, they would. I don't know if. I'm not sure where the rules would be on that. I don't know if I've ever seen racing rules that include racing room of passing out of class cars.
Yeah. I mean, in my definition, it would be once you have right to racing room, you've established the right to racing room based on how long you've been alongside and how far you've been alongside the other person, which he absolutely had. Then my choice to not leave him racing room, I essentially didn't leave him racing room. So that's
Okay.
Once I thought about it more, because in the moment, it was like in the heat of the moment, I was like, I'm just going to do this.
And
you
then
know, like one of those like split second decisions that didn't feel like that big of a deal.
yeah. And then immediately afterwards,
And
you're
even
like,
as it happened, it wasn't even on my mind through the rest of the race.
Oh,
because
really?
It was like, yeah, it was like, well, I need to go back and watch that and see how rude that actually was. And even when I watched it back, it was what I thought I did. You know, I didn't do something I didn't mean to do.
yeah.
But then I was going further into my like, if it's not me, and how would I have like really looked at that in real life? I didn't leave him right to race. I didn't leave him racing room, which he had the right to.
Yeah. Sometimes
So
I
then
do.
that's when I sort of actually started to feel really bad about it.
Sometimes I do some gremlin stuff and I always have immediate regret afterwards. And I'm just like, oh no, I wish I could take that back. Oh God, I am just a monster sometimes. And because we're racing in iRacing with our real names. And these are like people that we'll see, like not even just in a league race, like even in officials, like I'm sure I'll see these people someday. Like, unless they're like around the, like, you know, not anywhere close to where I am. But a lot of these people, like, we'll see at an event someday. Like they'll be like, oh, DJ, I remember you, or this or that. So I feel like if I'm a complete jerk to somebody on the internet, that doesn't just stay on the internet. Like to me, like that's gonna come back to me at some point, right? Also,
I think so. Yeah.
we're easily Googleable, so if we really screw somebody over, they could come find us. Like
Come find us. Holy cow.
on the
Someone
internet.
walks up to you. They just like a shadowy figure walks up to you in grid at an autocross one day. And
Yeah.
they like, they just like come and stand over you. You hit me on the internet.
Yes,
Like the
that's literally
Babadook.
happened. That's literally happened to me, Tom. So
Racing Babadook.
Ed Colazzo, my first ever interaction with him is his car was damaged and it was on Bathurst and he was just kind of in the way of everyone. And I came over the mic and said something a little snarky to him, and he still hasn't let that go. I think he brings it up every single time I see him. But like that was his first impression of me, and if I could take it back, I would. And I would have just been like came over the mic and said, "Hey, can't park there, bud," or something along those lines, which is like fun and playful rather than like just tow or whatever I said. Like, yeah, I like
Get out of the way, you dumb and bad person.
you should feel bad. Like, yeah, I don't want to do that. But sometimes in the heat of the moment, just sometimes you're just a little bit of an asshole, and we don't want to be assholes.
That was the thing I was going to say is I've been on the outs with iRacing so much. I was mostly like for the last couple of months, year maybe, I've really only played with like small groups of friends that I enjoy, or maybe get sucked into a quote unquote bigger race or an official race every once in a while. But like I've completely forgotten what it's like to make decisions out of being competitive in iRacing and like feel like a monster for it, because
Yeah.
when you race with like 8 people for fun on a Tuesday, that's not really something that happens. But this is a big league race, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I can be kind of a monster when I when I get competitive with this stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I know the monster's in there. That's why when I see those Tom eyes behind me, I know like the monster's coming. I'm just like, oh geez. But like I feel like that's part of, and part of why you're so hard to compete against, Tom, is because there is a little bit of a monster in there, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing on like every level. Like sometimes it's not great for personal relationships in your life, but it's really good for winning races. Like sometimes winning the race is more important than friendship. And then in hindsight, you go, oh, but can I have both? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whoops.
That's always so interesting.
Yeah. The calculations that we make in the heat of the moment are completely different than when the race is over and we want to be friends still.
You know what else is interesting about that though is when you do take the moment to own up to it, which I try to do as often as I can. Like when I know I'm wrong, I try to do it every time. Especially if it's someone I know, even in an official race or something. If it's a stranger and I do something that I know would make me mad and I didn't do it on purpose, and I feel bad about it, I still message them to make sure, like, that they know that I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, when you do that message and it's received positively, that actually feels so nice, and it ends up being like kind of a relationship builder with whoever that is.
Yeah.
Rather than a detriment, but it does feel bad to like do the admission of guilt / like, I'm sorry the monster came out on you kind of thing.
I feel like I'm a poor receiver of those. Like people will send me like sorry messages, and I'm just like, no, you need to feel bad.
You should feel bad.
Yeah, and and then afterwards, I feel bad because I'm like, oh, I should have been more gracious to that. Like I know exactly how they feel, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't want to be a monster. Just sometimes that, like, I think as humans, most of us are striving to be the best possible humans that we can be, and sometimes the competitor in us just makes us just be kind of just terrible people sometimes. You know what I mean? Just like not understanding it. Like, because if somebody does come over and say like sorry to you, like that's because they are feeling so bad that they felt like they have to do something about it. And in that moment, like, and I would probably say I got like a 75% fail rate on this, is like you don't allow them to feel better and understand that they feel terrible for what they did and they didn't like actually mean to or whatever. You know what I mean? And I say I have a 75% fail rate is because I won't allow them to feel better. I'll let them sit in it. And then I feel bad because I know I just let them sit in it. So if I've ever let you sit in it and now you're listening to the podcast, which I don't know why you'd listen to podcasts if I was an asshole to you, but if you're still here for some reason, I'm sorry.
They really like me.
I'm sorry. Oh yes, they put up with DJ just to listen to Tom's insights. You know what? That is plausible and actually likely. So, yep, that's what we're going with.
Oh,
So,
I had one more thing on that.
What's that?
That conversation, but I lost it. No, you said something that I was going to riff off of, and I lost it. So
it's gone forever.
I was going to say from this, I did one other bigger league race. It was like an MX5 league. And we broke 40 cars on the grid for the first time in that league for a long time. So
which
it was like
league was
pretty
this?
Big race. Apex this.
Okay.
Their
Yep.
MX5 league.
That is
And
a Lizard Brains endorsed iRacing league. I don't know if they know that, but they are endorsed by Lizard Brains.
I don't think I made the best impression of myself on that night though, because I was
no.
racing really hard and like I had a fun time, and I remember having things happen that's like, well, that's MX5 racing. But I didn't really have anything that was like, oh, I did that and I shouldn't have, or that was bad of me, or whatever, you know? It was just that scrum of 10 cars on the same track or the same place all at the same time kind of thing. And between the races, I got some nasty grams from one of the guys. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? You want to explain yourself? And I didn't know what to say, so I didn't say
I got to watch this race. I haven't watched this race yet. Tom, what
I
happened?
even watched it back. I watched it back, and I don't even know what they're mad about. It was one of the first of the two races was one of those MX5 races where one person who happened to be me got spun across the finish line and into another person, and we're four wide, and two of us are in the wall and all this.
Yeah,
so
that sounds like MX5 racing if I've ever seen it. So,
right, and it was because someone else did something unpredictable that I ended up in an unpredictable spot, and then, as Danica Patrick would say, new friend of the pod, I guess, if you do a move in an unusual place, you end up with an unusual result. And then I'm Jensen Button.
And then Jensen Button's just blinking.
Yeah, yeah. But I had a blast. Yeah, it was really fun. I have been enjoying my last couple of weeks of like sim racing.
That's good.
I won a Porsche Cup official.
Yeah.
An official Porsche Cup race.
Who is this man?
That sounds so hard.
Who is this man?
So hard. I couldn't believe it happened.
This Tom O'Gorman.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. People are starting to Google him, and they're like, "Oh my goodness!"
Finally making it, winning official sim races on iRacing. Yeah.
They're finally making it. They're like, "Wow! No wonder he's good at sim racing. He used to race in IMSA."
Yeah.
Oh wow, IMSA, the stepping stone to winning P Cup races in iRacing. That's fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we want to answer some questions, because we didn't last week after we had such a good discussion about fears?
I'm a little limited on screen real estate, so I think you're just gonna have to take it, Tom.
Okay, and I'm gonna do the pretend to hit the button.
Oh, yep. Nope. I'm gonna hit it.
Oh, you actually have a button.
Emails. It's a button.
I couldn't hear it when I was talking. How's my trumpet though?
No. You guys are synced up. I couldn't even tell. Wow, it was perfect, Tom.
Okay, so this is a follow-up to a question we got a while ago that I'm pretty sure we already answered about motion sickness from our friend Daniel W. He asked back in January, a couple years ago, I started to get motion sickness and vertigo while driving, and we had a discussion about it. Some people shared their thoughts. And he followed up this week and said, I don't know if this is actually a question, but it's a follow-up. Chatted with my doctor. He said to try the motion sickness patches, so I got some. I spent yesterday afternoon at the local kart track and felt great. The next step is autocross and then hopefully a track day. I did encounter a much larger issue. After riding in my two-seater kart with my kid, my 10-year-old informed me she wants to be a race car driver when she goes up.
Hell yeah.
Uh-oh.
Life of crippling debt, here we come.
Maybe steer towards the horses?
No,
don't do that.
Nope, don't do that. Well, I mean, let's be honest. Race car people were basically going to be horse people in like 30 years anyway, so.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, well, I hope the patches work. That sounds like promising.
It sounds like they did work, which is pretty cool. That's cool that you could have a issue that's taking away your enjoyment of the sport and then you just seek out some help, and then then you can enjoy the sport again. It sounds like it did help, and if it didn't help, then maybe write a follow-up on the follow-up and explain to us how you were you just fighting through it to do the 2-seater carts with your daughter? So yeah, I'm not sure. Want to grab another question?
Do you want to try to? Yeah, I want to see if I can. If we can't do this in real time, then we'll pivot. But this is from Ross.
Yes, I remember this.
Tomo and DJ, in Newcomb's Paradox, would you take 1 box or 2 boxes? Veritasium, the YouTube channel we love, recently covered this paradox in a recent video. One of the premise is summarized in the image. One thing the image doesn't explain is that the predictor is all-knowing and is famously good at predicting human behavior. Okay, so I'm going to read the image. In the standard version of Newcomb's problem, 2 boxes are designated A and B. The player is given a choice between taking only box B or taking boxes A and B. The player knows the following. Box A is transparent and always contains a visible $1,000 bill or $1,000. Box B is opaque. You can't see through it. Its content has already been set by the predictor. If the predictor has predicted, that the player will pick both boxes, then box B contains nothing. If the predictor has predicted that the player will only take box B, only one, they get $1 million. The player doesn't know what the predictor predicted. Oh my God.
Okay.
Sentences are crazy.
Yes.
Or what the box B contains. Is one of us the predictor and the other one is not?
No. So basically, you have 2 boxes to pick from. You have 2 boxes to pick from. If the predictor, who is all-knowing, predicts that you will take both boxes, then you only end up with $1,000. Now, if the predictor ends up that you would only take box B, if that's what they predicted, then you end up with $1 million. So box A is transparent. You can see that there's money in it. Okay?
So it's an assessment of risk behavior.
Yes, essentially. So you're predicting what the predictor is going to predict, what you're going to do. Okay?
I don't understand that criteria, but I'm not a big risk taker. I'd probably take the $1,000.
Okay, and then pass up on the $1 million?
So when I'm picking, all I know is that all I know is I can take both boxes, and I know that one of them has $1,000.
You can take both boxes, or you can only take box B. So you will be like, I see $1,000 in that transparent box, but I'm going to take box B.
Oh,
that may or may not have $1 million in it. If the predictor has predicted that I am only going to pick box B, there will be $1 million in it. Now, if the predictor has predicted that I'm only going to take, if the predictor has only predicted that I'm going to take box B, and I take both boxes, then I get $1 million and $1,000. It's really whatever the predictor is predicted.
So I can't just take the $1,000.
You could.
Then I would do B. I would just take the box.
Well, you could do the $1,000. You would definitely end up with at least $1,000. No matter what the predictor has predicted.
Okay, what would you do?
I would do box B. The predictor's all-knowing. Are you kidding me? It's all-knowing. Like, okay, it's going to know that I would have went through all these mental gymnastics and figured it out, and I'm going to take box B because it's going to be $1 million.
That's what I don't get. Why would those parameters seem weird? But yeah, I would just take the second one.
Okay. Well, as the question.
So we pick the same thing.
As the question predicted, there would be no conversation after this because we would end up picking the same box.
Wait, the title of the video is "This Paradox Splits Smart People 50-50." I thought we'd have to disagree, or we'd end up disagreeing.
Well, statistically, smart people would disagree, or statistically, maybe one of us isn't smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it. We got to figure this out now. Live on air. Oh, okay, this sounds like a nightmare.
Loser says what?
Oh, what?
I guess I thought that would be more profound than it was. I don't understand the paradox.
I haven't watched the video. Maybe I'm misunderstanding exactly.
We should have watched the video. probably.
Taylor goes trap. The answer was box A. No, the answer is box B. You just go, I'm gonna take box B. You literally tell the predictor that I'm gonna take box B. So then they predict that you're gonna take box B, and then you take box B. What are you gonna do?
Does that make me smart? Because I wanted A.
Are you going to be greedy and get both the $1 million and the $1,000? No, I'm just gonna go for the $1 million. Who cares about the $1,000 if I have 1 million of them? Who cares? That's my thought on it. Look, the thing.
So I know that it might have $1 million.
It might have $1 million, but it might not have anything in it. Like, I could very well just pick box B, and it could just be $0.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
But to me, like $1,000 isn't gonna like radically change my life. And if the predictor's all knowing, I would assume that they would have me go with like the thing that's gonna radically change my life. So if anybody had if anybody wants to do this experiment in real life and see what me and Tom would actually pick, let's do it. And then I can open up a box of $1 million, and I will, even after opening the box with $1 million, I will fund at least one NAS truck race for Tom. At least one.
If we're gonna do that, we need our own boxes, because I'm also gonna get my own million.
And then will you fund
All right, next question.
Will you fund one NAS truck race for me? Or oh no, hold on, that's not my one Bathurst 12-hour stint.
No, we're just gonna do that together.
Oh, okay, yeah, that
NAS
works
trucks.
too. Yeah. Come on, somebody make this happen.
All right, Sean Condon asked, hey guys, I wanted to hear your take on something I've been thinking about after the last Lizard Brains iRacing race. Thanks for putting that on, by the way. What techniques or tips do you have for a point during the race where you feel you're in a high bandwidth time or maxing out your bandwidth? One thing I'm noticing is that when it's just me and one other car, I'm fine. But when it's more than that, I miss more than that, things like missing brake markers can happen. I know part of this is unconscious executables. You should trademark that. But I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
I feel like Ross Bentley put that in his book somewhere, and that's why I call it that. But I'll have to check. Okay, so high bandwidth. High bandwidth.
You've realized you're running out of bandwidth. You notice you're making mistakes. How do you reset?
Okay, so I don't think I run into those instances sim racing. Just because I have the reps on it. But I do remember feeling this last year when I went to Sebring, and I was driving the GT3 RS around Sebring in my first session, and my phone popped out of the door and it was sliding around in the footwell. So my brain was thinking about that, because every once in a while I would go to the brakes and my foot would be on the phone and the pedal, and it would make it like really weird. And I remember feeling over bandwidth. The way I reset in that instance was the session's over and I went into the pit. So I don't know if that's actually useful, but I think noticing that you're over bandwidth is I think that's the first step, is just acknowledging that there was more things happening than I could focus on.
Yeah. I agree that the observation of it is great. So I have 3 thoughts on actual practical things you could do. 2 of which I definitely do on the sim. But I think they're all practical. The first one is, am I doing something that I don't need to be doing bandwidth-wise? In other words, am I
like that.
Trying to race at a point where I don't need to be racing? Am I trying to defend a position that doesn't need to be defended? Am I trying to get out of the way of cars in a way that's adding to problems for myself? Whatever it may, like, if you can remember to do that quick assessment and eliminate a thing that's not necessary, then you can probably get comfortable again and get back into the routine without an incident happening, or making a bigger mistake. But then other than that, if I'm having a problem in the sim specifically with bandwidth, or I notice I'm struggling, my default is to soften my hands and try to reset where that tension point in my hands, the wheel is, where there's actually grip, rather than my tendency is to just grip too hard and drive through where that grip limit is on the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So if I remember to think about it for a couple corners, I usually do. And I look at my brake pressure in the next braking zone and make sure that my braking, trace in the heads-up display is not just like wonky and wacky.
That's really good advice.
Those
And
are the two
actually,
things that I struggle with.
yeah, and actually thinking about this last weekend, I think I was a little over bandwidth just with like my seating position and just like how weird it was. And I noticed that I was super tight on the wheel. So that was like the first thing I changed was like my bandwidth felt fine, but I was still super tight on the wheel. And I was like, okay, obviously, like even though my bandwidth felt fine, obviously it wasn't 100% where it should have been because I didn't notice that my hands are super tight on the wheel until after the run when I'm like, ugh, my hands feel like they were just death gripping this thing, right? So then I put focus into softening up the hands. So I think softening up the hands I think in general when we start to run out of bandwidth, we get tense. So that might be one of the ways that you identify that you're running out of bandwidth because you were tense.
Yep, totally agree. That's actually a really interesting point about the seating position thing, because I do find myself running out of bandwidth more often than not when it's a situation like that, or when it's a what was the other example I just thought of? Just anything inside the car being ergonomically
Weird.
less than ideal
Yes.
can take a lot of bandwidth. Oh, or the shifter being weird, that takes so
Yep.
much bandwidth.
Yeah,
The
it
one I was going to
does.
say is noise. I don't think people realize how much the noise of the car takes bandwidth away. And I used to be really good about this, and then I started racing like turbo Honda stuff it wasn't that loud. But I would put earplugs in, and it takes away the top level of like the really abrasive noise of the engine, or like any of the extra stuff like the clipping that your brain can't like process, right?
Yep.
It just like kind of hurts.
Yep. It's like
But you can still hear the tires. You can still hear obviously the RPM, but it just takes that edge off and it makes the driving more peaceful, and it expands your bandwidth, I swear.
yes, that's so maybe Sean, maybe in the sim race, maybe your volume's up too loud. Like if it's to the point where you're not just like comfortable, then I think something too loud takes up bandwidth, which I don't know where that lives in like the auditory processing part of the brain, or like why is that taking up more brain space or something. But yeah, anything that could be making you either physically uncomfortable or mentally uncomfortable or whatever, any of that stuff takes up bandwidth. So maybe getting rid of anything that makes you a little uncomfortable, whether it's like physically sitting in the rig, or if something's too loud, or if something's annoying or anything like that. I feel like stuff like that.
Too hot.
Yeah, if you're too hot, like for instance, for sim racing, I have a fan with a remote control, and it sits in a cup holder on my rig. And if I find myself in the middle of a race and I get too warm, I just reach over, I grab that remote, I go over to the fan, and I click like the fan button, and it just sits there and oscillates. And then I just put the remote right back in the cup holder, and now I have a fan blowing on me while I'm sim racing. I don't want the fan on all the time because it might dry out my eyes, and then I'm uncomfortable in a different way, right? But I have the remote as an option to like get rid of that, so I don't have to just sit there and deal with it. Now, I will say sometimes I will intentionally sim race in like a sweater or something like that because I don't want to have perfect conditions all the time when I'm practicing, because you don't ever get that in real life, right? So
Like Rocky.
yeah, like, oh, and I tape, I wear a garbage bag and I tape it up to me so I can sweat extra. I remember I tricked the Detroit region guys. We were all sim racing together, and I made a joke that I like taped a trash bag to me, because that's what we would do back in like high school wrestling to make weight, is we would like tape trash bags on us to sweat extra. And which is just, that sounds completely crazy, and that's because it was, but you'd have to lose 6 pounds in sweat, so like you had to get there somehow.
Dude, like my high school friends that wrestled, I could not believe what they were doing with their diets at the time.
Yeah,
and in hindsight, it's even worse. I'm like,
it was pretty bad. I would go in the pool.
17-year-olds.
I would go in the pool room because it was like 80 something degrees, and I would just run laps around the pool, like taped up sweaters. Every sweater I owned, I'd be wearing, and I would just be sweating to try to make weight for wrestling, because 135, it was like a coin toss whether I was going to beat that person to like wrestle with varsity, but 130 I had it on lock. So I'd be like, okay, cool. If I make 130, then I'm still on varsity. Like that's where my brain was. It's so stupid.
Yeah. Something else about the bandwidth thing. Rock, you'd sim race with a fan. cooling. Oh, this probably isn't news to you, but I recently found out someone that I know has a fan connected to their computer that adds and subtracts fan speed as they drive faster.
What?
So like
Oh,
they get more
yeah,
air in their
yeah.
face the faster they go.
They have
And we found out because it would come through their microphone and we could hear this crazy like alien noise. It was like, what in the world is that? Oh, that's my fan. How is it changing noises all the time? Oh, it
yeah,
goes based on my speed in the car.
yep.
What? That's
It
cool.
yeah, it's an
Gimmick, but
Arduino.
cool.
Arduino. It's like a little microcomputer, and you can have it programmed to do different things, and it can
Huh.
plug in just via like a USB. Uh, so like basically you have the output on the Arduino board. I think I'm saying that incorrectly, but somebody will correct me. You have the
It's
output on the
pronounced
fan.
Villeneuve.
No, that's hopeless. This if I heard it, I could say it. But yeah, Villanueva is completely hopeless for me, Tom. So,
Uh-huh.
anyways, it has like an output on the board, and it's just connected via USB, and it just changes the voltage output to control the speed of the fans, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cheap. I've never done it because I don't like fans blowing at my face because it makes my eyes dry. So I don't want dry eyes during my long hours of sim racing.
That's fair. I used to put this box fan behind me in my old apartment, but I also used to live by myself and could keep it at like 68 if I was doing a race.
Yeah, you go adjust the. Dude, that's some next level shit, Tom. You go and adjust the thermostat because you're like, this is gonna be a long race.
Maybe sometimes, yeah.
Yeah,
Or
nice.
commentary even. I just prefer to be comfortable. But
Yeah.
I had the fan behind me, and every once in a while I would get into one of these like mental paradox trip ups where I'm like seeing the car go forward but feeling the air from behind me. And realizing that there's like this dichotomy of physical inputs happening, and then I would
Yeah.
have to like snap myself out of it. It was like when you can't tell if something's turning clockwise or counterclockwise. Like, whoa, okay, we're going forward. Ignore the fan.
Yeah, I have. So yeah, speaking about just sensations and stuff like that, I have my fan about the perfect distance from me, where I don't feel like actual air hitting me. I just feel cooler.
That's nice because you don't feel airflow in a car anyway. So airflow is not a realistic race car thing.
Yeah, I agree. Especially like air coming from the front and hitting you. I guess if you're in an open wheel, but at that point you have like the gloves and the suit and the helmet and
Yeah, that doesn't hit you like wind in my experience. It's like skydiving. You've never skydived before, have you?
not yet. We got to do it together, Tom.
I would love to, but it's not like falling.
No,
Because
because at some point you hit a equilibrium between the air resistance, so then you just feel
Yeah, so
gravity
that,
like
like,
you normally would.
that roller coaster fall sensation never
Yeah.
happens because it's just getting blasted with wind. That's basically all that's happening. That's
Yeah.
like being in a race car.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I used to ride motorcycles and dirt bikes and stuff like that, and yeah, on the highway it just kind of feels like you're getting blasted by air. So I'm assuming an open wheel car would kind of feel like that, but it's not going to feel like some vent thing on your sim rig that's like drying out your eyes.
No.
But
right,
people
one more?
experience speeds in different ways. So if that thing works for you, I'm not poo pooing it. It's just it's not on my sim rig because I never thought that was going to add to my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
one
I
more.
just want to be cool. All right. This is a great question. It is from where'd it go? Shoot. John. A little preface before my question below. My SCCA region is putting on an intermediate school for drivers with 3 to 5 years of experience. What are key elements and themes to instruct/coach to get a mid-pack competitor to a trophy level? I think this is an autocross question, but let's apply it to both.
Okay.
See, this is interesting because I don't really view my view of what advanced intermediate novice on a track day or even what an intermediate driver is in autocross is a little skewed. When I run a track day, I know this is an autocross question, but let me do it. So when I run a track day, novice is I don't know what's happening, so I need my hand held. Intermediate is I know exactly what's happening, but I either don't care to drive as fast as I could, or I might make some mistakes. But the expectations of an intermediate and advanced driver are the same. And advanced drivers is I meet that and I don't make mistakes on it. And as a byproduct, I probably am faster. So to me, mostly the difference between all those groups is accountability, not ability. And then I think the ability kind of is built in the system. I don't think you can build ability into a system. So that's maybe a challenge on NASA's system, right? Where they go 1, 2, 3, 4
Yeah.
before you're allowed to do competition.
Let me.
I don't think that is how it works. I think that if you build the culture around accountability and then you build in the accountability to each group matching what the reality of that group is, then it all works itself out. You don't get to teach somebody, but I'm not a product of a taught system. I'm not a product of that NASA system or whatever. I just was really motivated to become the best driver I could. And I found resources and I just made it work. And I played a lot of video games and whatever else. So I'm not as sympathetic to this curriculum system where people want the information included in classrooms during the event and all that. Okay, so that was a lot to say. I don't view this as easy
Well, I'm trying to think of like.
to teach.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like are the things that boil down to somebody being mid-pack and not like finishing on the podium or whatever the class or series or motorsports thing is. And I don't think it's always the same stuff. Like
That's what I'm saying.
They might be really good at car control, but they have bad tendencies of like where the car ends up, or maybe they're trying too hard, or maybe they're not trying hard enough, or like it's the thing is it's a bunch of humans doing this thing, and humans experience all of this 100% differently than everyone else, and they're going to be at different places. They're going to be better at some stuff than somebody else. They might be the same speed, but they get there in totally different ways, leaning on different strengths and having being subtracted by different weaknesses.
Preach
That's where I think like a coach comes into play, where they can go, dang, okay, this is what you're missing, right? Yeah. I will say the most common conversation I have is being really efficient with the momentum and where the weight is on the car. Like carrying the weight on the front half of the car all the way down to the apex. That is probably the most consistent conversation that I have. There are some nuances in there that have it where people do it like they have the idea, they might be messing it up in a different way than somebody else or stuff like that. But if you want like a broad, like oversimplified, this is where I see people like stagnating and not getting faster, is they're not thinking about where the weight is in different sections of the corner.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of this. You have the opportunity to put on a little school, and you know that there's no curriculum you can build that's going to deliver for all drivers. That's basically what we've established, that we don't think that that's fully possible. So you're putting on an intermediate level school for experienced enough drivers who are actually looking for that last little bit. I agree. I think introducing or covering weight theory, can we call it weight theory?
Yeah.
The Lizard Brain's weight theory. Covering that sort of thought process with your driving in a school for intermediate drivers, in case they've never thought about it, especially road course drivers. I think autocrossers have to think about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But that's probably the most missed concept in classroom curriculums, I think.
Yeah, well, especially like with HPDEs, because they don't want you to go out there and crash your car, and they have convinced themselves, and I think they have wrongly convinced themselves that if people are using the brakes to pull the nose toward the apex, that they're going to spin and go hit something. And so what they teach is that you always brake in a straight line. Like we've all heard that before. And that is just not like the brakes do two things, right? To the car. They slow the car down, but then they can also manipulate where the weight is on the car. And on a corner where you have a section of it where you're taking speed out of the car, and then you have a section where you're bending the car down to the apex, the taking speed out of the car and the weight manipulation part of the brake, they intersect at some point, and the smoother that intersection is, and the smoother the weight moves around the edge of the car as you get down to the apex, the faster you're going to be, the more efficient that weight's going to be managed, just the easier the car is going to be to drive, all these different things, right? And I think especially HPDE programs, I think they lead people in the wrong way in this aspect. And it's because the most consistent thing to do and the most stable thing to do, and a lot of people find this on their own, is they'll be on the brakes, they'll turn in, they'll get the throttle because the car is really stable in that state. Like I'm turning in, I've overslowed the corner, I am on throttle. Now I am driving the front tires through this corner to the edge-ish of the racetrack. And to them, that's stable. But, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to explain this with words, but I've shown this in coaching with like showing the line or whatever. Trying to predict from basically the moment you turn in to where the throttle is going to put you on track out is insanely difficult. You're so far away from where it is, and there's just so much throttle time till you get there that it's way easier to predict where the car is going to end up apex to exit rather than entry to exit when you're on throttle. If you're blending the brakes all the way down to the apex and then using the throttle to shove the car to the edge of the racetrack, you have so much more input and so much more wiggle room of where the car actually ends up and how it gets there with just like that change in fundamental. And I think that's probably the thing that people miss out on the most is how the brakes do those two different things and how much easier it is once the nose of the car is actually being manipulated down to the apex and the throttle is being used to shove the car out.
Right.
Did any of that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's all.
I feel like I might have.
It did.
Okay.
And that's all really good for a road course. Okay, so now, because I think this is an autocross based question. What would you teach we do this. We have a school this summer, by the way, up at Finger Lakes. It's already waitlisted, but you can go to their website and enter if you want DJ and I have one-on-one instruction with you.
Do you know what their website is? So people can check it out.
I don't. Finger Lakes Region SCCA.
Check out Finger Lakes. They ran all the entries. Yeah, they ran all the entries and stuff. We're showing up and gonna run the school.
Found out it was full the next day.
Yes.
Cool. But anyway, so when we do these, I think from a practical standpoint, with an intermediate level autocrosser, the things that I look for immediately are fluff on the throttle.
Yep.
Digital braking. So like, are you just on off or is there nuance? And then can I tell that you're looking ahead? And by looking ahead, my definition is finding the entry of the next element when you're in the current element. And as soon as you get out of the current element, approaching the next element, you're finding the exit. So it's find the exit, find the entry, find the exit, find the entry constantly. Those are like the fundamental three.
I feel like if you're good at
so what else am I missing for a school that like other than the I think the weight applies to both. Is there anything else at like a autocross specific school we need to hit?
I think so. Like you have those three things, right? And I think if you get 2 of the 3, you're getting trophies, and if you're hitting 3 of the 3, you're winning events, right? So and because people are in different, like some people are really good with the vision, but they're not good with the the throttle fluff and stuff. Which basically that's another way of saying that people are on throttle like before they get to the apex, right? And then another aspect of that would be understanding where the apex is, right? Because it's not necessarily always at the pointer cone. Sometimes it's before it. Sometimes it's just after it. It's wherever the exit of the corner can start, and you can still end up at the correct spot for the next element without driving copious amounts of distance. Because autocross has that nuance to it. Racetracks generally don't have that little added nuance to it. It's a little bit easier. Autocross is a little bit more nebulous in that manner. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I agree. Yeah, I always say it's more abstract than track driving.
Yes.
I think also the last thought with this is you can probably hit some good stuff in like classroom style or autocross. We always called it chalk talk. I don't know if anybody else has ever heard that, but you just like stand around a little like in a circle and have chalk talk for whatever.
Yeah.
And that's where like you talk about like course walking approach and like the mental approach and things like that. But again, it's so hard to put on a school for an X level experienced driver because I still don't really believe that's how it works. to my first point, but
Yeah. I think it would be hard.
You can try. You can try to go with big themes and just hope that some of it resonates with everybody.
Yeah.
Something in it resonates with somebody everywhere.
Yeah,
Everyone.
that's why I
what
just
I'm
think everyone experiences it differently. Everyone is at different parts of their journey.
Yeah.
They might be set in the same times, but they do, like, you could have somebody that does all three of those things moderately okay, and they're getting trophies. But if they did all those things like well, then they would be winning events. So it's like, and sometimes people are, like, you take all the Madden build a character sliders and you just move them around on those, like, 3 to a million different sliders that you could have.
Like building a sim.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to end up with is just like, and their lap times, sometimes their lap times might be even, but then a course draws out like a weakness and then they might be behind, or a course will draw out a strength of theirs and they'll be ahead. And it's just like the drivers that are consistently winning just have those fundamental understandings of the course, vision, weight management. Like, they're just going to have car control, all the stuff that has nothing to do with driving, like, car prep, tire nerd stuff. Like, it's just going to, like,
Having the right car.
Yeah. All these things are going to, like, come into play, and the people winning just did all those things better than everyone else. I'm not even saying that they did them like way better than everyone else. They just were better on that particular day.
Yep.
So
someday we're going to have like what do we call it? We're going to have a
masterclass.
I don't know if a takeover is the right word. I don't know if masterclass. No, it's going to be more like an inquisition, maybe.
Oh, tell me
more. Where we go fix curriculums at track day programs where they don't talk about the line anymore, and they don't talk about novices once you get to this speed, and then we'll stamp you for your approval because you're a little bit better than you used to be. So now you're an intermediate. we're gonna have. I think we'll get our own armada. I don't know. I got the Spanish Inquisition on my mind. I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be like a takeover.
Maybe what is your algorithm right now?
Maybe a crusade. A crusade. We could do it like a holy crusade.
What? No,
it's going to need to be big. That's why it can't just be a little movement. It needs to be like a big thing.
Then everyone needs to tell their friends about the podcast so we can build this up. So we literally just take over track day events, and and we can figure this out. But even then, like, I think just curriculum in general is pretty tough because everyone experiences differently. Like Tom and I, we never came through a curriculum based driving anything. I read books. I played video games. I listened to podcasts. Like, I was on my own journey. I was grabbing knowledge from anything and everything. And maybe an autocross school or some HPDE with an instructor or something like that would have helped me, or maybe it wouldn't have. I don't know. I haven't experienced that. So, and I kind of wish I did, so I would understand like what my takeaway from that would be. So if anything, if you're listening to this, let us know what your takeaways were if you came through like the NASA program or some other group that had instructors or some common curriculum. I'm curious what your takeaways are.
Yeah, I would say actually that I have bounced off of any time a curriculum is involved. Like when I tried to start the NASA ladder, and when they told me I couldn't be in whatever group this is bad mentality, but at the time it was like, I'm not starting in novice. Like, I'm not starting in novice. No, I'm not going to do that. Like I bounced in the same way that I bounced off of curriculums in school. So I think like it's a bigger,
the moral of the
conversation
story
than even getting the curriculum correct. It's like some people just don't even learn that way.
Yeah.
In fact, recently I was accused by, I'm trying to find the exact quote, not accused. It was pointed out recently by a really good friend of mine that they've never met someone have so much information and do so little to help themselves.
I think I said that.
When it comes to sim racing, it was you. And I just want to say, you're right. I got nothing on that.
The moment it starts to look like curriculum, Tom's like, I'm out. And maybe there's a lot of people like that. Maybe the moral of all of this jibber jabbering that me and Tom are doing right now is that you should just throw all the curriculum away. Give it all up. It's not even worth it. Just send them out there with hopes and dreams, and they'll make it, baby. That's
The Eric Coutil driving school. Figure it out, noob.
I've had conversations with Eric, and I'm like, hey, what do you do to like knock the off season rust off? He goes, oh, I go out there and scare myself until like I remember how to do this. And I'm like, what? That's not something anybody could take away and like use. But like, I don't know, it works for him, I guess. Maybe if that's actually what he's doing. I think a lot of us don't take the time to think about the things that we're doing in a way that we could possibly explain it to another human. And I think coming up with like the ways we feel and experience this whole driving journey is actually pretty difficult to put into words. And I don't think the translation is 100% from my brain or Tom's brain to your brain. It's just, there's just no way to do that. All we're doing is our best.
Yep. Well, good chat. That was a great question. And yeah, I wonder if we'll get some, I want to get some, not haters, I want to get some productive conversation someday about that.
Yeah, I want to get some
curriculum stuff.
I want to get some curriculum conversation going on in the Discord, please.
Okay, so you're autocrossing the same car this weekend, but it's getting some overnighted parts from Japan, and it's going to be faster.
We're getting a spoon engine and what is the you never watched Fast and Furious, so you're not even gonna be able to help me.
Yeah, Coronas for family.
Yep.
You put that in the gas tank, I think.
No, I think we're literally just bumping up the rev limiter to what everyone else in CST has, which it sounds like it's just 100 more RPM. Talking with Peter, sounds like we're only 200 up from what most people have, or 200 up from stock. Not what most people have. That sounds like we blow up a couple engines. And so I think Ed was only 100 higher than that, and we're gonna run the fatter tires. And that will be it. The car, honestly, it drove pretty good. It did take me a little bit to get used to the Gaikin, the OS Gaikin that was in the car. I had to...
Was it what the progressive, like it rotates harder the more you're on throttle?
No, it would...
Style one?
I would get inside wheel spin unless I like snapped to like half throttle, and then it would lock. And then I could get progressive, like if I slid in throttle, it would change like the yaw of the car in like a linear style, which like that's like I was hoping it was linear from like 0 to 100, and it just wasn't. I would have to like snap a little torque into it to get it into that state where I could like have a linear change in the car with throttle position.
Yeah. I'm curious to hear how it's the same wheel width, right? When you're going up a size?
Yes.
Tire?
Yep.
Curious what you think of how big it changes or if at all.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
You drove the new Bridgestones?
Yep, we drove on the RZs. They seem to like more slip angle than the RSs, but I'm not sure. I'd have to do an ABA to know for sure. Maybe it was just the slot or the car or whatever. But it felt like the more the more the rear was kind of not following the front, it seemed like the faster and faster I kept going. But I don't know if that was because like I said, it's been 4 months since I autocrossed, so I don't know if I remember the RS as being the same as that, and I just don't remember that sensation or whatever. But that was like my initial impression of it. Also, when it's 100 degrees in Vegas, it's the first run feels great, and then it's all downhill after that. So, like that's yeah. I don't there's still 200 treadwear tires, and they generally don't like heat.
And it's another Pro?
Yep, another Pro Solo. So now Lugard is coming to the next event. So it's gonna be like all. So Daniel McKelvey, obviously, like he's won C Street, AST a bunch of times. Like he's obviously like a known quantity of like super good, right? And then Garrett placed second behind Lugard by just 0.2 last year at Solo Nationals in CST, and Lugard won CST. So this next weekend is basically what Nationals is probably going to look like, missing a couple names that will be around. But this is going to be probably one of the more stacked events that I'll do in CST for the year, and that's this upcoming weekend. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Cool. And I fly tomorrow to Sonoma. I found out I'm hired for commentary. I'm going to be PA commentary only.
Oh,
So you won't be able to hear me when you watch races. I'll just be for all the people that are watching trackside at the track.
really? That sounds kind of fun.
So that'll be interesting. I've done it before for SRO. They hired me prior once to do this, I think. And it's interesting because you are in a box talking to nobody, or like there's I think there's one other guy with me, but I think it's a little odd they don't just broadcast the race broadcast audio.
Just do Facebook Live.
But
your phone just aimed at you, Tom.
I could.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun. So I think I get to commentate all the races. I was starting to study thinking I was going to be like the lower races only, but I think I'm going to be the trackside voice of the weekend with that other guy.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I did that once with Larry McLeod at VIR for SCCA time trials. I think that was the one where everyone was crashing and SCCA never went back there again. Or maybe that was the one before. I don't entirely remember. But I remember hanging out.
Raining or not raining?
I don't remember. I just remember hanging out with the booth with Larry McLeod, and I had the podcast machine, and I even played the Lizard Brains intro music at some point over the track PA, which was pretty cool.
It is cool. Raul asked, I don't even get a window to paddock. No, I think we'll be in because it's a NASCAR track, I think we'll be in the timing and scoring tower on driver's left as you come up the front straight, which is kind of wild because it's on these giant grandstands, huge tall grandstands. When you're on the front straight side, you're looking like they're, I don't know, 12 stories tall or whatever it is. And then when you get to the back side of the building and you go to the top and you walk into the booth, you're looking at the apex of turn 2. Like that's how much elevation there is up the hill through turns 1 and 2, that these massive grandstands, all of a sudden you're just eye to eye with the track at the top. It's pretty cool. Kyle says
that
it's
is
the best
cool.
view of the season. Okay. All right. That's good. Yeah. So that'll be my weekend.
It kind of sounds like I'm going to have to go to Thunderhill at some point.
Wait, I'm talking about Sonoma.
Oh, this is Sonoma.
I think Thunderhill sounds great too.
Okay. Sorry. I lost the plot at some point.
Better.
I lost the plot at some point. But okay, I didn't realize it was that much of a elevation gain. I guess it makes sense once I think about it. But in the sim, you just don't get that. You just don't get that sensation.
Nope.
So
yeah, I've only driven that track in TCA cars, and it was still pretty extreme up the hill. But you were flat out. I mean, they were like what I used to race, so flat out up the hill.
Yeah,
was super easy.
Would you slow down as you're driving up the hill?
That's where we commentated qualifying for the runoffs from. What did you ask?
Oh, wow. You're so much higher than the grandstands. Kyle just posted a picture.
Yeah. So picture walking out the back door of that building and you're just looking into the apex of the next corner.
Oh, that's cool.
That's how much elevation happens.
Dang.
It's wild.
That is wild. Okay. Well, cool. Please do get them to share the freaking thing. What are they doing? I feel like you just strong arm them and next thing you know, there's a radio broadcast on their Facebook page or something, Tom.
Maybe. I mean, there's a live stream of all the races on YouTube.
Oh.
Maybe you'll hear my voice under their voice as I echo through the hills.
Oh, I understand what's happening now. Okay. Yeah. So you just need to be way louder on the PA. Like you need to crank that thing to 11.
Just be screaming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
okay.
I'm actually, I think a trackside commentator makes the environment of the racetrack.
Oh, absolutely.
If it's just quiet, it's weird. So I'm glad I'll be that person.
Yeah. Think about that local autocross event you went to and nobody was announcing times or anything as people came through the line.
Weird. It's like,
that's super weird.
Like some horror movie stuff or something.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, oh no, this isn't an autocross event. Give me the mic. Give me a PA.
Yep.
I'll just start yelling if you want me to. So, all right. Tom, that sounds fun. I hope you have a great time. Everyone listening, thank you for joining us. My arms are getting tired holding this microphone, so we're going to end the show. You ready, Tom?
Yeah, I won't be able to hear this music though, I don't think. So just press play and I'll hope. Yeah, I can't hear it. But when you're autocrossing this weekend, I love your hair, and I hope you win.
It was taking a long time to save that. It was making me nervous. Oh, all right. If you're watching the video, you are now having it end for you because I forgot to end that. Bye.